Lighting night exteriors is one of the most fun things to do as a cinematographer because it's one of the easiest things to learn because you have a lot of control over the scene. And after watching this video, you should be able to shoot something like this. The first thing we always do is analyze the scene. So what are the hints in how to light the scenery? And as we can see, we have this person sitting in front of a TV, we have the skyline outside, we have practicals, and around this we build our lighting. Always when you're doing night interiors, the first thing you do is put on the camera and now set the exposure in the camera. So without the person in there, the first thing you want is to know, and for the image, how dark I want the walls, how dark I want the furniture to be in there. This is the first thing you do. The next thing you will do is, after analyzing the scene in the pre-production, tell your set designer team in which direction do you shoot. Because when they know this is the frame, you will tell them, because I want to do a warm backlight, a practical here, a practical here, a practical here. Always remember, there is never enough practicals in a scene, and this practicals gives the scene life. And it gives it a tonality, because now we have warm colors here, and also we have this big windows in the background. And as you can see, we have blue hour in here. But wait, blue hour? Everyone that ever shot on blue hour knows it's something around 20 minutes where you're able to shoot. And this is a big Coca-Cola commercial. So did they wait a few days and always shot for 20 minutes to do the scenery? No. This whole background is probably green screen. There are other ways to do it. Some series like Suits or something like this use big rolls of photography from cities, but they work a lot better on daytime than on nighttime, because you wouldn't be able to get this kind of exposure on a dark print and put lights on it. Like I said before, if it was a day scene, you would just put on these rolls and light them with a light, because this gives the feeling of more dynamic range. You can build everything in the studio and you're not fixed daytime, nighttime. You can shoot whenever you want. But this is definitely green screen. After you put your practicals, your exposure, your VFX, you have thought about it on set also. Now you look at the scene. I want to put this guy here. So he's watching TV and we need to see him. So where do I put the key light? As you can see, this is actually not that soft. So you always have to think about how soft do you want the image. This is a contrasty scene. It's dark, it's moody, but it's also commercial. So you can't go really contrasty, because you have to check the TVs and what devices people look at them. That has to be look pretty good on every device. So we go probably here in there with an 8x8 frame. This is decent soft. And as you can look closer, the roll-off is just a little bit of hard. So I think an 8x8 is a good indicator. You can always check the light sources on the eyes. And as you can see, we have a pretty big one and a similar one on the same size. So I think the first thing they did is here, you can put any lights you want behind this 8x8. Let it be a 600D, sky panel, something like this. And you shoot through it. I would probably put, for this scene, maybe a half frost in here, and half silk or half grid cloth. It will do the job. And the same thing above the camera, so on the TV, we have this TV effect going on. It's never really a TV that gives off this light. So you put a sky panel or something similar on TV mode, which is a little bit cooler. As you can see on the skin, that we have a bit of cool tones, which creates a little bit of color contrast that follows the whole concept of the video. As you can see in the background, we also have a color contrast with these lights and the background. So like I said before, the thing you can do is put a big softbox on a sky panel, put it slightly in front of him, let the animation play, and this is how you get this little bit of blue tint animation on the person. But there are a lot of different ways as you can do it. Some people just use little small lights for this animation to get and use more, to make it more random. But most of the time the sky panel or 600C or 300C method is just as good. But the next thing you can see, we have a little bit of a top light ongoing. Because he has dark hair, the scenery is really dark, we want to separate him a little bit. As you can see, we have a backlight, we have a top light, and this is most of the time could be big LED panel, just say something like an Aladdin or an F22 or an Godox, so they have pretty big ones. And just a little bit, turn it to 3200 Kelvin and give him a little warm edge that is motivated by the lights in the background. And this is not everything here. As you can see here on the edge, we have a little bit of a light streak across the wall. This is a technique we use a lot. So flat walls are boring. We don't want something boring in the scene. So what you do is you put something like an aperture spot, or you use a normal light and use a flag, something like this. When you shoot this direction, light would be flowing like this, and you put a flag just halfway there so that you get something like this. And the result of that is just a little bit of texture on the wall. And this is really, when you try to look at it, we will see it really in almost every commercial that we use this technique to give the walls a little bit more of an interesting feel. When we zoom out of the scene, we can see everything a little bit better and where the motivation for his key light comes. The motivation is always important. Never just throw a key light at someone. It will look unnatural. The viewer has to see, okay, where could this light be from? And here it's definitely here, or from this light. And now that we're way further back, you can even see the light streaks on the wall a little bit better, which also separates him from the background. This is the scenery they're looking at the TV, and we have here a little bit of, again, color contrast, a lot of teal and orange, a lot more teal orange than that it doesn't go. Here we use some simple tricks to make it more spooky, I would say. As you can see from here, the light is coming from under his chin. Like you probably did it as a child, you put a torchlight under your face and you look spooky. And this is the same thing they did here. So because something special is in here, you can get the motivation for the warm glow. Also, as you can see, he has a big top light above him, which is probably something like a bigger F22. It would be set on a cool tone, on teal color, and just goes on top of him. The source is always a little bit bigger than a person to get a really soft and natural. With the problem with something like an F22, it looks very lit. Because in real life, lights are not really pointy. They're most of the time a huge area, and that's the reason why live looks more natural. So if you have a bigger source, most of the time it will look a lot better. But also here, we cannot just put a blue top light and think it works. No, as we can see in the background, we have the stairs that goes from upwhere, and the motivation comes from there. We see, here is the cool moonlight probably coming from, and that's the reason why we can get away to light him from above with the same color. So this was the cinematography breakdown of this Coca-Cola commercial. I hope you really liked it. My name is Marco Bagnoli, and we see you next time.